Solskjaer in. Kavicki's missed the challenge, and Solskjaer is all on his own. Isn't that a cool finish?
Just over 10 minutes left in the first half, which is still goalless. Although Everton have looked the more likely, but Solskjaer's on the field, anything's possible! Solskjaer! A goal for Manchester United, quite frankly, out of nothing.
And he's driven a ball there forward for Cole. McGrath didn't make that. Solskjaer for Manchester United. Goal! It's 3-2. And Solskjaer confirms his position as top scorer. Keane into York. Here's Solskjaer. 6. Ole Solskjaer's only been on the field a moment or two. On the neck, and it's another one. When he comes on, he usually gets a goal. The young Norwegian. Oh, that's a lovely play, and Solskjaer! Oh, wouldn't you know it? Substitute is the one who gets the hat-trick. Typical Sheringham. Solskjaer!
So it's official, Ole's at the wheel. Now anyone who's followed Solskjaer's tenure as Manchester United's manager would have seen this coming, and I do respect the Manchester United board for waiting as long as they did to confirm his appointment as permanent at the club. I also feel when the United board appointed him as caretaker manager on the 19th of December 2018, it was only to give them time to appoint a permanent manager for the following season. And they may have even had a candidate ready, but the candidate in question just wasn't available at the time. But due to the job Ole has done, surpassing all expectations, he's made it near impossible for the board to look elsewhere. But where does Ole's story start? Let's go to the beginning. Ole was born in Kristiansand, which is a city on the western coast of Norway, on the 26th of February 1973. His father, Øyvind Solskjaer, was a Greco-Roman wrestling champion. At the age of 7, Ole joined the club Klosternagen, who were in the 3rd division of Norwegian football. And between the ages 8 and 10, Ole tried to follow in his father's footsteps and train as a Greco-Roman wrestler, but gave up due to him being ragdolled on a regular basis. Solskjaer also between 1992 and 1993 completed a mandatory year's national service in the Norwegian army. Solskjaer debuted for Klosternagen at 17 years old in 1990. He participated in the Arctic Cup, scoring 17 goals in 6 matches. On the 21st of May 1993, Klosternagen faced Molde in the Norwegian Cup, with Solskjaer scoring the only goal in a 6-1 defeat. Klosternagen were promoted to Division 2 by winning the league by 12 points. Solskjaer's final season with the club was in 1994, with him scoring 31 of all Klosternagen's 47 goals, helping them achieve a mid-table finish at 6th place. In Solskjaer's 5 years playing for Klosternagen, he averaged more than a goal a game, scoring 115 goals in 109 matches. In late 1994, ahead of the start of the season, he was signed by Molde for a fee of 200,000 kroner, which is around £175,000. I really want to say a joke about that fee and Alexis Sanchez's wages, but I'm not going to go there. I digress. On the 22nd of April 1995, Solskjaer made his debut against Brann, scoring twice in a 6-0 win. In his second game, on the 29th of April, Solskjaer scored a hat-trick, helping Molde in a 5-4 win over Viking. On the 14th of May, he scored in a 2-1 win over Hamarkarotene. Then 2 days later, he scored a hat-trick as Molde beat Hood 7-2. Solskjaer would go on to score a penalty in Mulder's 4-1 win over Strindheim on the 30th of July. On the 10th of August, Solskjaer played in his first European competition, the qualifying round for the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup against Belarusian team Dynamo 93 Minsk, with Solskjaer scoring in both legs, helping Mulder qualify 3-2 on aggregate. However, they were drawn against PSG, and even with Solskjaer scoring at the home tie, they were outmatched and lost 6-2 on aggregate. Mulder finished the season in second place, runners-up to Rosenborg by 15 points. In his first season in the Tippelagen 1995, he scored 20 goals in 26 matches. He also formed a good strike partnership with fellow forwards Reece Straven and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with them being called the Three S's due to their surnames. Solskjaer began the 1998 Tippelagen in a defeat, losing 2-0 to Rosenborg, but scored a hat-trick in the next game against Moss in an 8-0 win. He scored again in a 3-0 win against Tromsø on the 19th of May. His goal-scoring form led to interest from German side Hamburg and Italian club Calgary. Mulder's manager, A. Reid, made Solskjaer available to both Manchester City and Everton for $1.2 million. However, both sides were not willing to take the risk, and interest from Hamburg and Calgary fell through. This is when Man United submitted a bid of $1.5 million during Euro 1996, which Mulder accepted. Solskjaer made his final appearance for Mulder on the 21st of July 1996 in a 5-1 win against Start, scoring the fourth goal in the 85th minute before throwing his shirt to the crowd in a celebration and getting subbed off to an applause. He finished in his time at Mulder scoring 41 goals in 54 games in all competitions. Solskjaer joined Man United under Sir Alex Ferguson on the 29th of July 1996, which at the time was a surprise signing as he was unknown outside of his homeland, and United are still heavily linked to be in the hunt for Alan Shearer, who then joined Newcastle for a world record fee of $15 million. It was widely expected that in his first season he would be backup to Eric Cantona and Andy Cole, with limited first team opportunities. But within weeks of his arrival, it became clear he would play a key part in the season, sooner than anticipated, and would become one of the bargains of the season. He was given the number 20 shirt in his first season in 1996, a squad number he would retain for the rest of his United career. He scored 6 minutes into his debut as a substitute against Blackburn Rovers on the 25th of August 1996, after replacing David May in the 64th minute. Solskjaer made his first start on the 14th of September, scoring Man United's first goal in a 4-1 win against Nottingham Forest. On the 25th of September, he scored his first European goal in a 2-0 win over Rapid Wien, opening the scoring in the 20th minute. He also scored the only 2 goals in a win against Tottenham on the 29th of September. On the 21st of December, Solskjaer scored another 2 goals in a 5-0 win against. His third brace of the season came on the 3rd of May 1997 in a 2-2 draw against Leicester. United clinched the title after Newcastle drew away at West Ham on the 6th of May, meaning Solskjaer won his first Premier League title. Solskjaer scored 18 goals in 33 appearances, 25 of which were starts in his first season, becoming the club's top scorer for that campaign. The British media nicknamed him the babyface assassin because of his youthful looks and deadly finishing. In his second season, Solskjaer scored his first goal of the 97-98 season on the 24th of September 1997 in a 2-2 draw against Chelsea, equalising in the 86th minute after coming off the bench. He scored his first double of the season in a 6-1 win against Sheffield Wednesday. He scored his second double on the 30th of November in a 4-0 win over Blackburn. On the 24th of January 1998, he scored his third double of the season in a 5-1 win against Division 2 side Walsall in the FA Cup 4th round. Solskjaer started in the Champions League quarter-final second leg against Monaco. David Trezeguet opened the scoring for Monaco after 5 minutes before Solskjaer levelled in the 53rd minute, but United went out due to away goals. Newcastle United, 18th of April 1996. One of the defining moments in Solskjaer's career. The match was tied at 1-1, and at that time, Man United needed at least a point to keep up with Arsenal in the race for the league title. Solskjaer came on in the 79th minute. Now it's near to the end of the game, and Newcastle's Rob Lee had a clear goal-scoring opportunity, running unopposed towards United's goal. Now, knowing it would cost him a red card, Solskjaer runs across the entire field to commit a professional foul, denying Newcastle from a winning goal. Fans were drawn to this act as it showed a great example of a player putting the club before everything, including himself. Solskjaer only managed 6 goals in 22 appearances, 15 as starts in the season. And despite his sacrifice against Newcastle, Arsenal still did go on to win the Premier League by 1 point. Now Solskjaer's third season would be his most memorable. but it almost never was. See, Man United accepted their bid of $5.5 million from Tottenham, but Solskjaer rejected the contract offer, choosing to stay at Man United and fight for his place. Things could have been so different, but back to the goals. He scored his first two in the 1998-1999 campaign in a 4-1 win over Charlton Athletic on the 9th of September 1998. On November the 11th, Solskjaer put another two past Nottingham Forest in a 2-1 win, helping United advance to the 5th round of the League Cup. He scored his third double against the club he nearly joined in Tottenham on the 12th of December in a 2-2 draw. On the 24th of January 1999, Man United faced rivals Liverpool in the 4th round of the FA Cup. United were down within 3 minutes by a goal from Michael Owen and proceeded to trail late into the second half. Solskjaer was introduced on the 81st minute, replacing Gary Neville, and went on to score the winner in the 90th minute, shortly after Dwight Yorke's equaliser. On February the 6th, Solskjaer came off the bench in the 71st minute during United's 8-1 win over the Nottingham Forest, with Solskjaer scoring 4 goals in the last 12 minutes of the match. Man United sealed the Premier League title on the 16th of May, on the last day of the season, with a 2-1 win over Tottenham, with Solskjaer winning his second Premier League title in 3 years. He started in the 1999 FA Cup final against Newcastle on the 22nd of May, playing the whole match, in which United won 2-0 to complete the double. Now, May 26th, Nou Camp, Manchester United, Bayern Munich, UEFA Champions League final. How did it go down? 6 minutes in, Mario Basler scores from a free kick, putting Bayern ahead. Still trailing deep into the second half, Teddy Sheringham was introduced in the 67th minute. Then in the 81st minute, Solskjaer was brought on for Andy Cole. Still nothing. And 36 seconds into injury time, Teddy Sheringham scores the equaliser. United, with the momentum, forced a corner shortly after the kickoff. The set-piece specialist, David Beckham, takes the corner, finding Sheringham, who headed it across goal, which is then poked into the roof of the net by Solskjaer in the 92nd minute. The Norwegian's winning goal helped the team secure the treble, cementing his own place in United folklore. He ended the campaign with 17 goals in 29 appearances in all club competitions. In Solskjaer's 4th season, he scored his first goal in 99-2000 season on the 11th of August in a 4-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday. On November the 2nd, he scored a great volley during a 2-1 win against Austrian team Sturm Graz in the Champions League. He also won the Intercontinental Cup on the 30th of November, beating Brazilian team Palmeiras 1-0 at the National Stadium, Japan, Tokyo. On the 4th of December, he put 4 past Everton in a 5-1 win at Old Trafford, with the second goal being his 50th for the club in all competitions. Solskjaer equalised for United against Liverpool in a 1-1 draw on the 4th of March 2000. 3 days later, he came off the bench in the 83rd minute against Bordeaux, scoring a minute later from goalkeeper Raymond van der Gaal's long ball. Wait. Raymond van der Gaal? Don't you mean Van der Sar? Nah, dude. Raymond van der Gaal was at the club from 96 to 2002. Only made 37 appearances for the club. He was like the backup for the backup. Anyway, Manchester United won the Premier League on the 1st of April. Yes, I'm feeling the urge for an April Fool's joke, but again, I won't go there. After thrashing West Ham 7-1, with Solskjaer scoring in the 73rd minute. On the 15th of April, he scored a double in a 4-0 win over Sunderland. 4 days later, Solskjaer featured in the Champions League quarter-final second leg against Real Madrid, but failed to score as United were knocked out 3-2 in aggregate. On the 24th of April, he scored United's first goal against Chelsea, with United being 2-0 down, but going on to win the game 3-2. He ended the campaign with 12 goals in 28 appearances, 15 of which were starts. In Solskjaer's 5th season, 2000-2001, his opportunities were limited. However, he scored in his second start of the season on the 16th of September 2000 as United beat Everton 3-1. On the 31st of October, he scored a double in a 3-0 win over Watford in the League Cup 3rd round. He scored another double on the 23rd of December against Ipswich in a 2-0 win. 3 days later, Solskjaer helped United snatch a 1-0 win against Aston Villa, with him scoring a header from a David Beckham cross in the 85th minute. Solskjaer also scored the first goal of United's 2-1 FA Cup 3rd round win over Fulham on the 7th of January 2001. On the 25th of February, he netted United's 5th goal against Arsenal, who were the closest title rivals at the time, in a 6-1 demolition, which sent them 16 points clear at the top of the table. On the 10th of April, he scored the winning goal in United's 2-1 victory over Charlton Athletic, scoring only 6 minutes after coming on as a sub in the 76th minute. Man United had the title sewn up by April, which was their third consecutive title and Solskjaer's fourth. That season, Solskjaer scored 10 league goals in 31 appearances, of which 19 were starts. After a few years of coming on as a super sub, Solskjaer got a chance as a starter in the 2001-2002 season, paired up with Dutch striker Ruud van Nistelrooy, forcing Andy Cole and Dwight York to the bench. He also scored his first goals of the season on the 22nd of September 2001 in a 4-0 victory over Ipswich Town, netting 2 in the process. On the 23rd of October, Solskjaer came off the bench in the 73rd minute against Olympiacos with the score level at 0-0. Within 6 minutes, broke the deadlock, helping United to an eventual 3-0 win. 4 days later, he came off the bench while United were down 1-0 against Leeds, snatching the equaliser in the 89th minute, heading in from a cross from Ryan Giggs. On December 12th, he scored a double and provided 2 assists in a 5-0 win over Derby. Solskjaer also started the comeback against Aston Villa in the FA Cup third round on January 6, 2002, scoring in the 77th minute, as well as providing the assist for Ruud van Nistelrooy's second goal in a 3-2 win. On January 29th, Solskjaer scored a hat-trick against Bolton Wanderers in a 4-0 win, then scored a double against Charlton Athletic in a 2-0 win on the 10th. On the 26th of February, Solskjaer's 29th birthday, he scored his 4th double against French team Nantes in a 5-1 victory, then scored another double on the 30th of March, putting 2 past Leeds in a 4-3 United win. Solskjaer also helped United advance into the Champions League semi-final, scoring 2 against Deportivo in United's 3-2 win on the 10th of April. He started against Arsenal at Old Trafford on the 8th of May, but failed to score as the Gunners beat United 1-0 and won the Premier League. Solskjaer finished the season with 17 goals in 30 appearances, his best tally since his debut season at the club. By the 2002-2003 season, Andy Cole and Dwight York had left the club, leaving Solskjaer with only Diego Forlan and Ruud van Nistelrooy to compete with in a place in the starting lineup. But Fergie at this time was very persistent in playing Ruud van Nistelrooy up top with Paul Scholes, or as a lone striker, meaning opportunities were limited. However, Solskjaer scored his first goal on the 17th of August 2002, netting the winning goal, which was his 100th for the club in all competitions, against West Brom. On the 19th of October, he earned a point for United in a 1-1 draw against Fulham, equalising in the 61st minute. Solskjaer was subsequently given more time when David Beckham got injured, and Fergie would use him on the right wing as a replacement. While Solskjaer proved to be an able crosser of the ball, he also was able to contribute with goals, scoring a total of 16 goals in this season. He also was selected in important games, such as the league game against Arsenal and the Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid, while Fergie would leave Beckham on the bench. In this season, he would also captain the team in a number of matches. At the start of the 2003-2004 season, Solskjaer found himself as the first choice right winger for United. However, a knee injury suffered against Panathinaikos on September the 16th would put him out of action until February. Solskjaer returned from injury for the season running and was the man of the match in the FA Cup semi-final win against Arsenal. He also scored in the 2004 FA Cup final, which United won. Solskjaer was forced to undergo intensive knee surgery in August 2004 and had to miss the entire 2004-2005 season. While he eventually recovered his fitness, at 32 it was difficult to come back to the agile player he was pre-injury. Solskjaer made his long-awaited return to action on the 5th of December 2005, playing in the Man United reserves against Liverpool. Nearly 3,000 fans came out to attend the return of the popular Norwegian, an above-average attendance for a reserve team game. He made his first team return as a substitute against Birmingham City on the 28th of December. He then made his first start of the season in January 2006 in the FA Cup game against Burton Albion. His return to full fitness slowly returned with regular appearances in the reserves until on the 8th of March, during a game against Middlesbrough, he was accidentally caught by Ugo Ekiag, breaking his cheekbone. Despite that injury, he was still able to appear as a substitute against Sunderland on Good Friday. Solskjaer had a successful pre-season tour in the summer of 2006, gaining Ferguson's praise, who would also reconsider his plan to buy a new striker. He returned to Premier League action on the 23rd of August 2006, when he scored in an away match against Charlton Athletic, which was his first Premier League goal since April 2003. Ferguson commented on the match saying, "It was a great moment for Ole, United fans everywhere, the players and the staff, and that Ole had been through a torrid time of injuries for the last 2 years, but he's persevered and never lost faith and got his repayment tonight. Everyone is over the moon for him." He continued his comeback by scoring the winning goal in the Champions League group match against Celtic at home on the 13th of September, fulfilling his post-season injury ambition to score once again at Old Trafford. Solskjaer's first Premier League goals at Old Trafford since his return came on October the 1st, with Ole scoring 2 goals in a 2-0 win over Newcastle. His goal-scoring form continued when he started an away match against Wigan Athletic in a 3-1 victory, and again against Crewe Alexandra on the 25th of October 2006, scoring the first goal in a 2-1 away win in the third round of the League Cup. After another injury sustained in Copenhagen in the Champions League, Solskjaer did recover and again returned to goal-scoring form, scoring the third goal in a 3-1 win over Wigan on Boxing Day. The form continued with Ole scoring United's opening goal in a 3-2 win over Reading on the 30th of December. Additionally, he also came on as a substitute to score an injury time winner in a 2-1 victory over Aston Villa at home in the FA Cup third round on the 7th of January. After scoring in the FA Cup 5th round replay against Reading on the 27th of February, Solskjaer had further surgery on his knee. However, it was not as serious as his previous operations, with him only being out of action for a month. He was predicted to be available for the home game on the 31st of March against Blackburn Rovers. United manager Ferguson said, "It was good timing with the international break coming up. It gave us the opportunity to get the thing done." Solskjaer did make his comeback against Blackburn Rovers as a late substitute and even scored in the 89th minute to seal Man United's 4-1 win. His last match was the 2007 FA Cup final against Chelsea, but he had to settle for an FA Cup runners-up medal due to an injury time winner from Didier Drogba. On the 5th of June 2007, it was announced that Solskjaer had undergone minor knee surgery and had reported discomfort in his knee while training in Norway. The surgery was successful, but Solskjaer failed to fully recover and announced his retirement from playing professional football on the 27th of August 2007. On the 4th of September, at home against Sunderland, Solskjaer walked onto the pitch to say goodbye to the fans and received a standing ovation. As of his retirement, Solskjaer held the record for the most goals scored for Manchester United as a substitute, scoring 28 goals off the bench, as well as the most Premier League goals as a substitute with 17, a mark which has only been surpassed by Jermaine Defoe and more recently Oliver Giroud. On the 2nd of August 2008, a testimonial match was played in honour of Solskjaer at Old Trafford against Espanyol. Almost 69,000 fans were present, setting the record as the second highest attended testimonial in British history. United won with a winner from substitute Fraser Campbell. Solskjaer came on in the 68th minute, replacing Carlos Tevez. At the end of the game, he addressed the fans with a speech thanking the staff, the players, the fans, and his family. Solskjaer made his international debut in a friendly match against Jamaica on the 26th of November 1995, just a few months before he joined Manchester United. The game ended 1-1 with Ole on the scoring sheet for Norway. His goal-scoring form would continue in his first competitive appearance during the 1998 World Cup qualifying campaign, scoring 2 goals against Azerbaijan on the 2nd of June 1996. Solskjaer played in both the 1998 World Cup and Euro 2000 for Norway. He formed a great partnership with Tore André Flo, which years after would be known for being one of the best striking partnerships in Norway's history. Following his lengthy layout to injury, Solskjaer made his full comeback on September the 2nd, 2006, scoring 2 goals in a 4-1 win against Hungary in a Euro 2008 qualifying match. They would be his last goals for the national team. On February the 7th, 2007, Solskjaer made what proved to be his last appearance for Norway in a 2-1 defeat against Croatia. He finished with 23 goals in 67 appearances for his country. Solskjaer will perhaps be remembered as a super sub amongst United fans, having earned wide acclaim for his habit of coming into matches late as a substitute and scoring vital goals, with his most memorable being the winning goal in the Champions League final. Now, if you ask any Man United fan to name 2 of Man United's greatest strikers, Solskjaer may not be on that list. But if I added, name 2 strikers, now add 1 more as a bench option, then I think Solskjaer would be that guy unanimously. Solskjaer was a fan favourite, not only because of his ability, but because of his loyalty to the club. He He had opportunities to leave, but stayed and played till his body would no longer allow him to. Usually, a player's ego would let the lack of game time affect him negatively. Solskjaer would always be happy to be part of the team, even if that meant starting from the bench. That would never affect him. Instead, he would use that energy to focus on doing a job when needed, and rarely failed. Ferguson remarked that Solskjaer had a knack of sitting on the bench and studying the game without taking his eye off the action. Reflecting on this aspect of his career, years later, Solskjaer said, "I had to think about myself. How can I do the most damage to the opposition if I come on? I sat there and I studied football games, but I didn't exactly analyze their strikers. Instead, I would pay attention to what their defenders and fullbacks were doing wrong. So with his playing career over, what was next for Ole? In his last player contract with Manchester United on March the 31st, 2006, it came with a provision to allow him to develop his coaching badges. He also acted in an ambassadorial role for the club, travelling to Hong Kong in 2006, playing with students at the Manchester United Soccer School. When interviewed by Satanta Sports in 2007, Satanta Sports, yeah, I remember that channel. But Solskjaer in that interview did confirm he would train to be a coach after retirement. Ferguson also brought Ole to help coach the first team strikers for the remainder of the 2007-2008 season. As announced on May 8, 2008, he took over the Manchester United reserves. He won the Lancashire Senior Cup, defeating Liverpool reserves in the final of the 2007-2008 season. On the 12th of May, Solskjaer won his first Manchester United Senior Cup by defeating Bolton Wanderers 1-0 at the Reebok Stadium. Shortly after the resignation of H. Reid from the position, Solskjaer was offered the opportunity to coach the Norwegian national team, which he declined, saying it was not the right time to become the Norway coach. Solskjaer's final game as Manchester United reserves manager was a 5-1 victory over Newcastle on December the 16th, 2010. On the 9th of November 2010, Solskjaer signed a 4-year contract with his former Norwegian club Molde to become manager. Before joining, Solskjaer did continue to manage the Manchester United reserves until January 2011. On March the 11th, 2011, Molde played their first league game under Solskjaer, suffering an embarrassing 3-0 defeat to newly promoted Sarpsborg 08. They played their first home game of the season on the 3rd of April, where despite coming from 1-0 down to lead 2-1, they were held to a 2-2 draw by league leaders Tromsø. On the 17th of April 2011, Solskjaer won his first Tippelagen game at Molde with a 3-2 win over Stabæk. Then on Molde's 100th year anniversary on June 19th, 2011, Solskjaer led the team to a 2-0 victory over Sogndal and to the top of the Tippelagen. On the 30th of October 2011, Solskjaer won the Tippelagen with Molde in his first year as manager for the team. On the 18th of May 2012, Molde gave Aston Villa permission to discuss their vacant managerial role with Solskjaer following the sacking of Alex McLeish. However, Solskjaer decided to remain with Molde to avoid disrupting his family after they had just settled back into Norway. In November of 2012, Solskjaer's team Molde won the Tippelagen for the second consecutive year after they beat Honfoss 1-0, whilst their closest challengers, Strømsgodset, lost away to Sandnes. However, in 2013, Molde would have a tough start to the season, with the team only gaining 7 points from their first 11 matches. Molde did manage to somewhat recover by ending the season in 6th place and winning the 2013 Norwegian Football Cup for only the 3rd time in the club's history, thus securing a place in the 2014-2015 Europa League qualifiers. Solskjaer would be offered another job, but would choose this time to take the opportunity, and on the 2nd of January 2014, he was announced as the new manager of Cardiff City. He won his first game in charge, beating Newcastle 2-1 in the FA Cup 3rd round, but a string of bad results would follow, and Cardiff would struggle for points, losing to teams in and around them in the table, including Swansea, Hull City, Crystal Palace and Sunderland, getting relegated in the process. At the end of the season, Cardiff finished bottom of the table, collecting only 7 wins and 30 points. He departed on the 18th of September 2014, following Cardiff City's poor run of form at the start of the Championship campaign. Solskjaer would not let his bad spell at Cardiff deter and returned to management, joining his former club Molde on the 21st of October 2015, signing a 3.5-year contract. His first game was the next day, a home game against Celtic in the Europa League group stage, in which they won 3-1. His first league game was also a win in a 2-1 away game against Aelsons on the 25th of October. He would also win his final 2 games at the Tippelagen against Viking and Start, with Molde finishing 6th in the table. Meanwhile, in the Europa League group stage, Solskjaer guided Molde to first place, ahead of bigger teams like Ajax, Celtic and Fenerbahce. Unfortunately, Solskjaer's team were drawn against eventual winners Seville in the round of 32, losing 3-1 in aggregate. The 2016 Tippelagen started fairly well for Solskjaer, with Molde winning 7 and drawing 3 and losing 2 in his first 12 games, steering them into second place. However, a bad spell of form followed, with them failing to win their next 6 games, including a 3-1 defeat to league leaders Rosenborg on the 28th of May 2016. Molde would recover, winning the next 4 games. In Solskjaer's first full season back as manager, Molde finished 5th in the league after losing 1-0 on the final day of the season to Lillestrøm. Molde's form in the 2017 Elite Syrian, formerly known as the Tippelagen, was a mixed bag. After winning their first 2 matches, they would only win once more in their next 7 games, leaving Molde in 10th place. Their form would improve, with Molde losing only 1 in the next 9 games, rising them to 3rd in the table. They would go on to lose their next 2, but go unbeaten for the next 7 games, seeing Solskjaer's team go 2nd. Ole did reach the semi-final of the Norwegian Cup on the 17th of August after a 2-1 win over Kristiansand. However, they were beaten on the 21st of September, losing 3-0 to eventual winners Lillestrøm. Solskjaer helped Molde finish 2nd in his 3rd season, 7 points behind winners Rosenborg, seeing the club qualify for the first qualification round of the Europa League. The 2018 Elite Syrian would become Solskjaer's best since his return. He started with 3 wins, sending Molde to the top of the table. But after a 4-0 defeat against Rosenborg on the 8th of April 2018, Molde's form began to vary, with them only winning 3 games in the next 8 matches, leaving the club back in 8th. However, Solskjaer would galvanise the team and go undefeated for the next 5 games. On July 8th, Molde played away against Northern Irish side Glenavon in the first qualifying round for the Europa League, losing 2-1, but then would win the return leg 5-1 on July 19th, sending them through to the next qualifying round. They were drawn against the Albanian side Lecce, beating them 5-0 on aggregate. Scottish side Hibernian would be Solskjaer's next opponents in the following round. They wouldn't concede, winning 3-0 on aggregate. The next opponents for Ole's team were Russian side Zenit St. Petersburg. They lost 3-1 on the away leg on the 23rd of August. On the return leg on the 30th of August at home, they won 2-1. But that wasn't enough to get Molde through to the next stage, losing 4-3 on aggregate. After suffering defeats in the league to Starbak and Rheinheim in the end of August, Solskjaer led his side to go undefeated for the rest of the season, winning 8 out of the last 10. His best win in this run was against title challengers Rosenborg on the 30th of September, winning 1-0. Despite the win, it wasn't enough, as Molde finished 2nd place in the league, 5 points behind Rosenborg. On December the 3rd, 2018, Molde announced that Solskjaer extended his contract until 2021. So while Solskjaer was making slow progress in Norway, Jose Mourinho was turning into Voldemort and turning the Pharaoh dreams into an apocalyptic wasteland. Edward would call Jose in for a meeting and handed him his P45 and said, "Tell Harry Potter I said hello." See, Ed had a plan. A short-term fix. A fix that would come in the way of nostalgia. The baby-faced assassin was back. On December 19th, 2018, Solskjaer was appointed caretaker manager at Manchester United until the end of the season. However, he was scheduled to return to Molde in May 2019, with his assistant coach, Erland Moe, acting as a caretaker manager during Solskjaer's absence in the pre-season and the first few matches of the 2019 Elite Syrian, which starts on the 31st of March. Solskjaer later suggested that he would need to sign a new contract with Molde if he were to return. But this was refuted by Molde director Øystein Nerland, who expects Solskjaer to return to Molde at the end of the English season. Solskjaer's first match in charge was against former club Cardiff City on the 22nd of December 2018, with United winning 5-1. This was the first time United scored 5 Premier League goals in a game since the 5-5 draw with West Brom in Ferguson's final game in charge in May of 2013. 4 more wins made Solskjaer the first Manchester United manager to win his first 5 games in charge since Sir Matt Busby in 1946. The winning streak was ended on the 6th game, 8 in all competitions, including FA Cup wins against Reading and Arsenal, after United were held to a 2-2 draw against Burnley on the 29th of January. The success of Solskjaer's first full month in charge as Manchester United manager would result in him being named Manager of the Month for January 2019, making him the first Manchester United manager to win the award since Ferguson in October of 2012, and becoming the first Norwegian to be named either Player or Manager of the Month. 2 more away wins against Leicester and Fulham gave United 6 consecutive away victories in all competitions for the first time since May 2009. Having picked up 25 points since taking over, Solskjaer has earned more points than any other manager has managed in his first 9 games in charge in the Premier League. A 3-1 win at Crystal Palace in February 2019 set a club record of 8 consecutive away victories in all competitions. Solskjaer's first loss as United manager came in the Champions League with a 2-0 home defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in the first leg of the round 16 tie on February the 12th. However, United won the return leg 3 weeks later with a 94th minute penalty from Marcus Rashford, making it 3-1 on the night and 3-3 on aggregate, with United going through on the away goals rule. This was also the first time in the history of the European Cup for a club to advance after losing the first leg at home by 2 goals or more. My initial thoughts on Solskjaer's arrival was relief. To be honest, I would have welcomed anyone at the time. Mourinho turned Man United into a club I couldn't recognise. The playing style, the results, the in-house drama consistently getting out to the press, and overall atmosphere. It was definitely the club at its lowest point, so Ole only had one place to go on his arrival, and that was up. You can see Ole taking some of Ferguson's ideologies and implementing them in his own way. He brought in Mike Phelan as his assistant, who had many roles within the club, going all the way back to 1989. He's tried to involve Ferguson as much as possible. Other managers would let their ego get the best of them and avoid going through the corridor to get some advice from Sir Alex. Not Ole. He's ready to use all the tools available to do what's best for the club. He's never afraid to make changes during any point of the game, whether it be a player change or a formation switch, as we've seen many times already in his short stint. I don't think he's the tactical genius that a lot of the fans are jumping on, but I do think the trio of Ole, Whelan and Carrick bounce off each other well. In my opinion, Solskjaer's best attributes are his man management with the players and his ability to relate to the fans. In terms of man management, you can see all the players want to play for him. There are no stories coming out of unrest within the camp, even with players who are not getting the amount of game time they feel they should be getting. He deals with the players on a one-to-one basis if he needs more from them. You can see the spirit in the team, and the performances are evident that he's getting a lot more out of the players than under the previous manager. I feel that has a lot to do with his ability to manage well. Being able to relate to fans is also one of Ole's strengths, as he spent the bulk of his playing career under Fergie in a successful period for the club. He understands what it means to be at Manchester United. He was a part of it. He was around when United were competing for top honours every season. United, for various reasons, are no longer competing to the level they used to. But every time Ole speaks, he goes out of his way to emphasise how the old Man United would react moving forward after each result, which is what I think is encouraging to every Man United fan. Now, I don't know how far Ole will take us, and I do think a large part of it depends on the board's enthusiasm in the transfer market, which in recent years hasn't been enough to make noise on the domestic or European stage. But he's got my vote. Ole's at the wheel.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer!
So when I started making this video, Ole had the team flying high, but hadn't signed a permanent contract yet. But I knew due to the results at some point he was going to get the job. As I continued editing, the contract had been signed, and with that the team have declined and almost gone back to how things were with Mourinho, with the team losing 4 of the last 6 games. But the more concerning issue is that the team have not played well and nowhere near to the level that Ole had them during the first 10 games. Now, in my opinion, 90% of what's going wrong on the pitch is out of Ole's hands, and it's actually boardroom related. Ole has made some team selection mistakes in my opinion, but that's not the main issue. The issue is the board's inadequate contract management. Now, one of our best players since Ole took charge was Ander Herrera, Right now his future is uncertain because the board have let his contract run down, to the point where he's now allowed to talk to other clubs and listen to offers from other clubs, thus perfecting his performance levels, to the point where he's now been left out of the squad and the starting lineup, which I disagree with. I know they're saying he's injured, but for me it's too much of a coincidence. But to Mike Phelan and Ole, 2 words: Aaron Ramsey. Paul Pogba, another major player of our team, has been tapped up by Real Madrid, and due to Man United's lack of urgency in terms of winning and being content with finishing in the top 4 to keep the money coming in, leaves a top player like Pogba wondering if he should spend the best years of his career at a club that care more about sponsorships than trophies. Which segues me to David De Gea, who also feels the same way Pogba does, except his contract is dwindling down. For him to sign a new contract, he feels he should get what he deserves. Now, he has been regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world for a few years now, so he does have a leg to stand on in that regard. Which takes me back to the laughable board, who are supposed to be intelligent, but are clearly showing they're not, as they're playing hardball with De Gea's contract. Which brings me to my next segment. Now, because Man United gave Alexis Sanchez that ridiculous contract, it now opens the floodgates to every other player demanding to want equal or near to the amount that he's earning, if they're playing better than he is. And to add to the fact that Sanchez has consistently been Man United's worst attacker since his arrival, this only destabilizes the wage structure, which is the reason Pep never signed him when there was a bidding war between the Manchester clubs for Sanchez's contract, with the trickle-on effect affecting the dressing room. If the worst player is getting the most money, no matter what industry you're in, it's creating a problem. Something that Man United supposedly never saw coming, but yet everybody else did. Hey Woodward. Good job. Your Blue Peter badge is in the post. Now, the 3 players I've mentioned are vital to Man United's first team, and all 3 have not played to the high standard they set when Ole first came in. Now, they're not the only players playing below their level, but they are the players that other players look to set the tone within a match, and who I would consider most valuable. I'm still Ole at the wheel, but I'm starting to wonder, is he there for PR, or is he there to bring Man United back to the glory days? I guess we'll find out the board's real intentions when the transfer window closes.
Could anyone have done what Ole has done?
Yeah, I believe they could, yes. I believe.
Yourself? Do you think you could have done what he's done?
I think I could have gone in at the time they needed someone to kind of rest the ship. I think I could have done that.